Hello everyone, back again. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas and an amazing New Year. I can't believe it's been so long since I've done a video, but I know I've eaten pretty much my body weight in potato since the last time I talked to you. And I hope you all had an amazing Christmas and whatnot as well and got everything you wanted. I'm going to be back soon with my end of year awards, going through my favourite books of 2014. But for now, just as a little tide over in the holiday period, I'm going to do an introductory book tag. So this isn't something I knew much about until a couple of weeks ago when I started looking into it. But I know a few people that I've started subscribing to on YouTube have done this kind of thing, kind of as an introduction to the channel. And I know I've covered bits and bobs in the first video I did, but I thought I'd do a formal, proper book tag to introduce you all to my channel and what kind of thing I'm going to be doing. And yeah, I thought it'd be a really good way to get to know me a little bit better and what my channel's going to be about. So, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing on this introductory book tag is, why did you start this channel? So I've covered this a bit already, but basically it's to talk about books. It sounds obvious, because it is. Well, that kind of is the main reason. I enjoy reading a lot, and I feel like I read quite a lot, and I think I develop quite strong opinions about what I read. And it's great to have this one outlet to be able to say, this is what I think, these are the books I've enjoyed, these are the books I've not enjoyed. So I think it's just partly kind of that cathartic, good for me to get my ideas down and those kinds of things, but also because I'm intrigued to see how that fits with what everybody else thinks about the books I'm reading, and what better way to do that than this. Secondly, what fun and unique things can you bring to BookTube? So I've got quite a few varied bits here, mainly based on the fact that I work in the book industry. So because I work for Waterstones, and I specialise in events, so that is all the author signings and author visits. So over the past year and a half I've been working for Waterstones, I've managed to meet some incredible authors. I've met people as big as Lee Child, as popular as Owen Jones, Jessie Burton from The Miniaturist, which I've just finished reading. Loads of authors from all different areas that I've met and spoken to about the book, so I feel like it's a really interesting, unique aspect I've got there. Working in the book industry, I got loads of proof copies as well, so I've got quite a lot of advanced reading copies which I want to talk about as well. And lastly, a lot of BookTube is focused specifically on fiction, and especially teen fiction. I want to expand beyond that, so a lot of, as you'll see in the first video, my first read pile, I want to do non-fiction, and I'm going to try and do at least one non-fiction a month. And in the future I want to expand into things like short stories, potentially even poetry and drama, so I want to bring that kind of more overall varied approach to BookTube. What am I most excited for? Kind of linking back to what I've done before, I'm excited to see what you guys all think about what I say, about what I read, and just to engage in the community, because I know from other people that I know that do it, it's one of the most amazing communities of people ever. Everyone's so welcoming, and even in the short time my channel's been active, I've found it to be such a nice community to be part of, and that's one of the main things I'm looking forward to, is just getting involved with those people, talking to those people, making friends that way, and I think that's going to be the biggest benefit and the biggest joy of BookTube for me. Next one is quite a difficult question. I don't really know how to approach this. Why do you love reading? I've never had to think about that because I just do. Thinking about it, I think it's for a variety of reasons. One is I like learning stuff. I'm a big fan of learning, not necessarily education-y style, school-style learning, but I just like finding stuff out. So I like reading on that aspect, because even in fiction, especially things that are historically set or anything along those lines, you do find out these little tidbits of facts and things, and I love that aspect of it. But I think much as everybody else, the main thing is the whole escapism aspect, that you could pick up a book and you could be transported to anywhere, any place, any time, just absolutely anywhere, and it's incredible that something has the power to absorb you in that much and really transport you somewhere else. And that's why I absolutely love about reading, that variety is incredible from one thing to next. I went from reading about 17th century Amsterdam to reading about ancient China, and then one of the next things I'm going to read is set on Mars 100 years in the future. So it's that escapism and the fantastical aspect of it that I really love. Linked to that is what book or series got you into reading. The very first book series I ever really properly read was actually the first book I ever read. With the Mr. Men series, I pretty much bullied my mum into teaching me to read when I was about 3. I was very eager to do it myself and not be read to and read for myself, and it was the Mr. Men books that I learned to read in the first place. They'll always have a special place for me, but I do wish they'd start writing new ones. The original ones were fine. After that, it was The Magic Faraway Tree, Enid Blyton. Without a doubt, my favourite kids' books ever written. I think they're lovely stories, they're interesting, they aren't babyish like a lot of kids' books can be. And they were one of the first series that really gripped me into reading not little tiny stories like the Mr. Men books or those kinds of things, but actually proper books that got you sucked in and absorbed into that world. The next step after that was a series called Redwall, which I always thought was quite popular, but actually seems to have been a bit rarer. It's by a guy called Brian Jacks, and it's basically Game of Thrones with animals. It's a kid's book, but it's all about dynasties and houses and kings and queens and fights, and it's so incredibly done that even though it deals with some really adult themes of like murder, marriage, love, all those kinds of things that are in adult books, it's done in such a good way that it makes them palatable and approachable for kids. And I think they were the first series that ever really got me into grown-up reading. And I mean, I think the fact that I love sci-fi fantasy more than most other genres stems from those books in the first place. And every sci-fi fantasy book I read now, I can see bits of Redwall in it. So they definitely left a defining mark on me. So there are the 3 series that really got me into reading and shaped me as a reader right through to today. Last question, what challenges do I think will be most difficult in starting a booktube? Anyone that knows me will know that I can be a bit fickle. So I'll start something, get really passionate and excited about it, and then within a few months it'll fade off. And that's not going to happen with this. It'll be hard, it'll be a challenge, but I love doing this. I love interacting with people, I love talking, and that'll be one of the hurdles I'll have to get over, but I'm confident I'll do it. The other issue I've got, which is a much more entertaining one, is I need to pick which books I want to read. And there are that many books that I've got on my shelf that I've not read, or that I've seen at work that I want to get, that it's difficult to narrow down which books to read and talk about. And I want to make sure I'm reading an interesting bunch of books that is varied and that you guys are going to want to hear about. So I've got that to consider as well. So I think on a more mundane, practical level, it's just going to be deciding what to read that's going to be hard. And lastly, it'll be getting everything right to start with. It's getting into my routines, getting set what I want to do with my channel, and getting some good equipment that doesn't crackle or blur like this does. But I'm getting there. I will get there. So there you are. Introduction book tag for my channel. Done. Hope some of you find it interesting to see what kind of things I'm going to be doing in my channel and what you can expect from me in the months coming. I know I've got loads of exciting stuff planned and loads of exciting books to read that I want to talk about with you guys. And I hope some of you will want to be along on that journey with me. But as again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon.